Daryl, what up, bro?
What's going on? What's going on?
Happy Saturday morning. Daryl was like, yo, I got crusties in my eyes, dog. We gotta push this thing back.
Yes, sir. We're here though. We're here though, bro. Who we got today, bro?
Yo, I'm excited for this one. Matt Beard. How about Matt Beard, bro? Matt Beard is something special. There he is.
Good morning. Good
What's up?
morning. Let's
How are you,
get
bro?
it, man. Saturday
What's
morning.
up,
I'm
Matt?
excited to be here.
Hell yeah, bro. I've had
Yo,
the pleasure to mastermind with Matt. Um, Matt has moved the needle in my business a ton, so I'm excited to get into the weeds. I'm at a different spot the last time that we talked in person, so
Let's
I'm
do
excited
it.
to see where you're at and everything you got going on as well. Dara, what you got, bro?
no, I'm really excited because I've always known about Matt Beard, seen Matt Beard, like learned a lot from Matt Beard, but we never actually had a real conversation. Right? I mean, I seen him in person. I don't even know if you remember, bro, but I was at the Start Virtual office uh, a few months ago. I was there
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Kevin
yeah. I
Cho,
remember.
yeah, making
Yeah.
calls and stuff. But I'm just super excited, bro. Just talking about like just everything real estate, bro. Like to me, you're a legend, right? Like to me, you're definitely a legend. Like you do a lot with virtual assistants. You taught me a lot with the training, a lot with door knocking, a lot with a lot, bro. And I have a lot of questions. I'm just excited to get this going, man. How you feeling?
Dude, likewise. I'm grateful for you guys. Like I said before we hopped on here, I was watching some of the previous episodes, and I think you guys got something really special here. And I think you can catch people in all different places. Wholesaling is the people that come in our world. I'm sure you see it. Is they're in different places. Who knows? Like maybe they're doing a couple deals, maybe they haven't done a deal yet, or maybe they're doing
Yep.
10 or 42 in a year, whatever. It's crazy, but I think there's a lot of folks that can get like a ton of value from this podcast that you guys have been putting on. So I'm just excited to be here and hopefully bring some value in any way that I can. So super stoked.
I love
Love
that,
it.
bro.
Matt, could you tell us your background of just real estate in general and who Matt is as a
Yeah,
whole?
I'll keep it really short. But I was a real estate appraiser that transitioned into being a real estate agent, and I hated that. Absolutely hated it. But I did what was necessary, and I went from like I'm not that guy. I don't want to be a sales guy. To yeah, you know what? I'm ready to change my life, so I'll be whatever I need to be. you know,
Yeah.
and going from no listings to like 12. But this was like 2018, and I was telling myself these things, and within like a month and a half period, it went from like no listings to like 12, and I was doing about 10 of those a month, and I hated it because number one, it took a long time in listing these houses, getting them ready, having to be the psychiatrist for half of these people, or at least a psychologist, having to like support them on like, oh my gosh, will my house sell? Does it look good? Hey, you need to get your stuff. It was terrible. um and I wanted to do something else. I had a good friend of mine, Cody, who I knew he had transitioned out of retail real estate into wholesaling. I'm like, oh, what is this? I've seen something about wholesaling in the past. I've seen, the Facebook ads of someone with a really nice suit on and like, yeah, come wholesale. And they're like Malibu and this $1 million house. Like, you should be wholesaling
What's
real
up,
estate. I'm
Cody's
like, yeah,
Burger?
this is a scam. I'm not going to do this. But it wasn't until I saw someone in my own life that was doing it. I'm like, there might be
Mhm.
something here. So in 2019, so not even that long ago, about 3 years ago, transitioned into to wholesaling. Started off door knocking, did what was necessary. I knew I needed to talk to people. So I door knock pre foreclosures. Went from there, built a small door knocking team. After I got my first deal, which was like 12 grand, I JV'd with Cody and Pace. They had just like really started their partnership. But since I had already been talking to Cody about it, he was the one who kind of gave me that affirmation. I'm like, yeah, you can do this, dude. So I probably JV'd my first 45, 50 deals with those guys.
Dang.
And they were all pre foreclosures. And, went from door knocking to running a door knocking team to, hey, there's got to be a more efficient way. Then went from building out a virtual assistant team to now a virtual assistant business. And we've done a lot of things over the last 3 years. And I'm super proud of what we've done. For example, Start Virtual is now, we will probably do 8 figures in that business alone this year. And that's not even the real estate business. Real estate,
Mhm.
obviously, we're still buying, holding, doing creative finance, doing seller finance. I mean, I just went out to an appointment last Sunday and got a foreclosure. So, like, we're still doing the business definitely still doing the business. But at the same time, it's cool to see, like, we don't ever know what God has in store, right? We never know what the plan is. I never knew that I would love working with VAs, and I would end up liking the people aspect, almost as much, if not more, than the real estate aspect. But it's just interesting to see kind of where that journey goes, and you can always look back and connect the dots. But it's hard to sit here and plan and say this is where I'm going to go. But that's the beauty of it all, right? We don't know what we don't know, and there's someone who has bigger plans for us for sure.
For
Yeah,
sure.
there's your plan, and then there's God's plan. And God
That's right.
Plan.
That's right, man.
Um, so, dude, I didn't know you used to hang out with Cody way before any of this. That was your
Oh
homie?
yeah. Oh yeah, I knew Cody before he was even in real estate. So that's kind of how I got introduced to Pace, because Cody had reached out to him and they started their little their partnership, but they were still like in their dating phase.
Mhm.
And I was getting a couple listings at the time, and I'm like, I don't know if I can list this house. It's like ugly. So let me reach out to Cody and see if there's something we could do. And then Pace was just learning about Sub 2 at the time. And I just remember there's this deal out here in Santan Valley, so a little bit south of Queen Creek. And it was this guy that was in foreclosure. So I was still working foreclosures, but I was a real estate agent. And I had talked to him, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if we can list it. There's not much equity here. So I was talking to Cody, and hear Pace in the background. He's like, yeah, we can buy it. It's called Subject 2. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, well, I'll buy it from you. Tell him I'll take over the payments. And I'm like, all right, well, I cared about how I was getting paid. I'm like, I don't care what you do, Pace. He's like, well, how much? He's like, I'll give you $2,500. And I'm like, can you do like $4,000? He goes, it's not a deal for anyone else. No.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, now he's doing these big assignment fees. I'm like, where was that at?
Right.
Where was that at? Paying $10,000 for this garbage stuff. Well, hey, whatever. It was so early on. But it was fun just to kind of see that growth. And more important, Pace has blown up since then. And then all the other opportunities that have come from that. I think it's being at the right place at the right time, but you got to show up and you got to do the work. And it was definitely something where I wanted to earn my way in. I wanted to show them that, hey, I'm going to do the work. You don't have to worry about me just like slacking off or not doing what's necessary. I want to show you guys that I'm serious about this. And that's kind of how I worked my way into that partnership. It was a lot of deals that we JV together, but at the same time, they knew for sure I'm not going to slack off. I'm going to do what's necessary. So that was my thing. Cause everybody's always like, well, how do you and Pace kind of work together? And Cody's like on the far end of the spectrum of the integrator side, and Pace is like even further on the spectrum of the visionary side. And I'm just kind of like, I'll do the things, right? Pace has the vision. I'll do what's necessary to actually make sure it's executed,
Yeah. That's awesome. And I kind of want to run it back a little bit just for the people who are watching. Matt didn't say he came to Cody just to ask him questions, right? Matt, you didn't just have like random questions and what if questions, right? Like you actually went and got problems, right? You messed some shit up and you found problems, and then you came to Cody and Pace and say, hey, I have this house. What do I do with it? Right?
100%.
That's how you squad up with people, right? You don't squad up with people asking them to pick their brain and, do all this. Can you hop on a call for an hour, right? You squad up by bringing problems for the person to solve.
100%. Like that. Like I'm sure you guys get the same messages. And look, I love the people in our community. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing more that I love doing than this right here, talking about real estate, getting a chance to network people. I absolutely love it. But gosh, if you want to you want my real perspective, I got to have something to look at, right? We can sit here and talk about theoretical stuff. Go watch YouTube because there's plenty of that, right? You want to get the strategies and a game plan, you can watch a YouTube video. But if we're talking about what should you do, and specifically for how do you solve your own problems, and Matt, what's my next step? Well, have you even taken a step at all? Right. It's let's not even have this conversation until you go out and create a bunch of problems, and then we can solve those things. Right. It's create a bunch of chaos. Pace says it all the time, but it's the truth. And at the same time, it's almost like that's the cost of entry. And that's how I proved, whenever I was door knocking, I could have cold called, I could have done other things, but it was in my mind's eye, I was proving to myself that I was going to take this serious, because after you go knock on someone's door, cold calling someone is not near as bad. Talking to that person who just, called you back and left you a nasty message is not near as bad. Picking up the phone and talking to someone who just sent you an SMS is not near as all the things got a lot easier once I was willing to do the hard stuff first. So, you know, I think that's just the cost of entry to any industry. But most importantly, a lot of people in this world, they see wholesaling as a business opportunity, which it is, but you have to do something, right? This isn't fortune builders. You know, we're not just going to sit here and give you a bunch of information and education. We want you to do something with it, and then let's work together. Let's see how we can help, you know?
Yeah.
Love it. So if there was a young Matt Beard in the crowd listening, that wants to get into door knocking, right? They're like, I don't know how the heck to do anything else, but I hear Matt talking about this door knocking thing, and that's how we started. And I want to bring somebody else that is doing this at a high level value. What would you give them for advice?
I would say well, first off, you need foreclosure. I highly recommend sticking with niche lists when it comes to door knocking, right? Foreclosures, probates, just statistics show that those lists crush, right? And if you don't have that data, hit us up. I'm sure you guys feel the same. Like, hit you guys up. You'll give them the data to go door knock. But at the end of the day, like, I had a thing where I wouldn't work with anyone on our door knocking team until they hit their first 300 doors, right? They're like, hey, can you come do a ride along with me? Hey, can you come like show me what you say at the door? I'll give you the script. Go knock 300 doors. If you don't get a deal in 300 doors,
Ooh.
I promise you, you're probably doing something wrong at the door. I will then go on a ride along with you, because it shows me that you're gonna actually do the thing, because it's not easy to do it. So if you guys are like on the sideline, like, I don't know, maybe I want to go door knock this thing, just understand it will be a grind. I remember going up when I first started, like, I'm not naturally that person who is just gonna go up and, you know, like, be super out there and like, hey, like, can I help you? Like, I'm not that person. But like, again, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. So I remember like my first 100 doors, I was horrible, right? I'd go up to the door, and as I pulled up to the house, I'd see like cars in the driveway, and I'm like, okay, shoot, someone's home. What do I do? Okay, this is exactly what I want. I want to talk to somebody, but like, I'm actually gonna. There's cars in the driveway, so there's a good chance someone's gonna open the door. So I go up to the door, tap 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 tap, and like my heart was racing, like literally just in my like heart in my throat, basically. And I remember just like all those earlier doors, and I'm so grateful no one went with me, because it would have been so embarrassing. But like, people would open the door and they'd be like, hey, what do you want? I'm like, hi. So look, I think your house is like in foreclosure or something. So like, do you need help? It was terrible. It was terrible. But then like, after just doing that, and the door gets closed, and do that and the door gets closed, they're like, hey, do you know anyone else in the neighborhood who wants to sell? Just like all the worst things you could do. I just remember going back to the car and just being like, okay, let's digest what just happened. That was terrible. How can I get better? And the script that we have now is like from me knocking on hundreds of doors, figuring out like how to work these conversations properly. And, you know, just making those mistakes really helped me become an even better closer, because, you know, like, that's kind of my thing. Like, I know for sure if I wanted to today, I can get in my car and I can go find a deal. I'm without a shadow of a doubt. I guarantee I could wake up and go get a deal. But that came from me doing the thing and messing up. And I think a lot of times we're just afraid to go through that stage, right? And that's with any profession. It's anyone, anywhere. Like my wife, she was a 5th grade teacher before we had our kid, and now she stays at home with our 2-year-old. But like, she went to school, did the 4-year degree thing, did student teaching and everything, and she was just like so nervous, like for her first day, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna suck. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna suck. Yeah. That's what it is. But you're gonna get better. And then after 1 year, you're gonna be like, this is a breeze. But you're gonna not be good in the beginning. And I think a lot of times we just don't give ourselves that leeway to be like, I am learning right now and I'm getting better right now, so it's okay to suck. But I have to suck. That's a part of it. I have to mess this up. That's a part of it. So if you guys are wanting to go out and do this, like, give yourself that freedom to be like, I'm not going to know what I'm doing, nor am I going to have the perfect game plan, because guess what? You'll go up to the door with that script and you're still going to mess it up. You're going to draw a blank. Someone opens the door and they're going to be like, how can I help you? And you're going to be like, right? For the first ones, you've never had that conversation. You're going to mess it up. You're going to be like, I forgot everything I wanted to say. Right.
That's awesome. That's a real point, right? Like there's a book called the 4 Maps of Happy Successful People by Robert G. Allen. And he talks about the learning curve, right? Whenever you start something new, you have to have a learning curve to where you're going to suck, just like you said, right? You're going to suck. And if you are anticipating it, if you're expecting to suck, right, that's kind of how you beat that learning curve and beat the fact that you're gonna suck. Like, or beat the fact that you're getting down on yourself, right? Because you suck.
Yeah.
Like, so going back to that time, right? Like, you suck at door knocking. You're just knocking on doors. I don't know if you're getting cursed out or what. Or it sounds like you just got diarrhea of the mouth when you're knocking on these doors. What kept you keep going? What kept you to keep going? Pushed you to keep going?
Well, I had made a commitment that I was just, no matter what, that no one in this business was like smarter than me. No one had something that I didn't have. Like, no one's doing anything special, because trust me, like leading up to this, as I was an agent, I listened to every single real estate disruptor podcast. I even, I had bought Steve Trang's little course. It was like $1,000. And I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing different over here? Like, who is this person's strategy? And I'm taking notes on all these podcasts. I'm like, all these dudes are doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody doing it. So I'm like, you know what? All they're doing is actually doing something. So I just need to do something. And I didn't give myself an out. Like, I think entrepreneurs, like, we're blessed and also crazy at the same time, because we believe in ourselves more than anything else, but more than anyone else. Like, no one else sees it the way we see it. And that's just how we have to operate. Right. And with that crazy belief in ourselves, magic happens. Right. So with me, with door knocking, I just decided, I read a book called The One Thing. And I just decided after reading that book, because I'm just like a lot of us entrepreneurs that are just like, scatterbrain, all these opportunities. What do I do? Do I cold call? Do I text? Do I door knock? Do I do foreclosures? Do I do high equity absentee? Do I do this? Do I do sub two? Do I do credit? All of these things. It's like the only way to make traction in the beginning is we have limited resources, right? It's either you got time, you got money, or you have relationships and people, right? So you got to use those levers however you can use them to your advantage, right? And in the beginning, if you're strapped on time, maybe you do have to spend a little bit of money and then leverage people and relationships. But if you are strapped on money and you don't know anyone, you're gonna have to use your time to go out there and do whatever is necessary. So that's what I did. I was like, I have some time here, and I made a commitment. I have literally nothing else to do because I've been a realtor. I know how it goes. I only eat what I kill. So I'm going to make this thing happen. So I spent my time just learning and getting better. So by the time I got to 100 doors, I was a completely different person. By the time I got to 200, 300 doors, I've heard just about everything you could possibly hear. So if someone's like, Matt, I've knocked 300 doors, I haven't got anything, that either tells me, number one, you're not actually knocking the door and you're just leaving notes. Or number two, you're not actually taking time and saying, what can I learn here? Right? Because you're only going to hear so many things after you have all these conversations. You guys know, you talk to sellers, there's only so many problems that they have, right? Time, money, the pain is typically tied to something along those lines, right? So if you do the work and you actually do it, there's no reason why you can't become the person that you want to become. And like, that's why I don't spend a bunch of time with people who are like, like, can I just pick your brain or can I do this? I'm like, if that's how you feel, then I know you're not doing enough. Right. And that's just the reality of it. So just going back to that, it's like, again, giving yourself that leeway, giving yourself the time to get better. But just understand that that's the whole journey, right? I learned more during my first 3 months in this business. Like, I probably learned 80% of the knowledge that I have today during those first 3 months. Right.
Oh crap.
Cause like you're in the boiler room, right?
Yeah.
You're like, everything is brand new. Right. And then from there, you build a solid foundation. And from there, I added on more on top. Right. So I read The One Thing. I'm like, my one thing is door knocking. Who am I going to door knock? I'm a door knock pre-foreclosures. How am I going to go? I'm just going to door knock pre-foreclosures in my area first. Right. I'm going to do Mesa, Apache Junction. Okay. I'm going to start over here. Right. So like really laser focused in, pulled that lever of time. And instead of having my energy spread out so thin, I was able to like really focus it. And that's how you penetrate and break through. Right. So you learn a lot in that process. And then once you start getting the success, it's almost like you go to the gym or you have a diet or something and you just need some quick wins, right? So early on, like, you're learning, but you're having some decent conversations. And funny thing is, the people who work actually get luckier, it seems like, right? So maybe you knock on the first 50 doors and someone actually has a real conversation with you. Maybe you don't get the deal, but you're like, holy crap, that's awesome. Like, that was a really good opportunity. And I know for sure that if I continue to do this, continue to build my skills, I'm going to get more people just like that, right? You get that quick win and then you build on it and then you build on it. Then you get a deal. And then a lot of times the challenge is, and you guys probably see it too, when people get their first deal or like they finally see it come to fruition, a check in their name. And then all of a sudden they're like, I'm gonna stop everything that I was doing. I'm ready to scale. Right. Let's scale. Let's do this thing. It's like, no, don't get out of the trenches. A lot of people come in our world say, Matt, how can I better support my virtual assistant who's helping me generate leads? I'm like, well, how many people do you have on your team? It's just me and my virtual assistant. I don't have enough people to talk to. Well, it's like, you should support your virtual assistant by going to get more leads, right?
Yep.
That was what I did. That's all I did. As we were building this door knocking team, I found more people so I could leverage my time instead of me having to go knock on all the doors. I had a team of people that was knocking on the doors. And then since I had gotten much better at talking to people, I became the closer. You set me up. I go in, I present the foreclosure options. If it makes sense, cool. Let's buy the house, right? That's all I did. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, how can I have VAs cold call and text the same people we're door knocking? We went from, I did my first deal in like August. I did another deal in September. I made a bad mistake, and that's why I can talk about it. So like I bought a big list because Cody's like, yeah, okay, you got your first deal. You need to go get high equity absentee, have a VA call these people. I'm like, cool, that's what I'm going to do. Because out here, door knocking is tiresome, right? I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And it's
but
hot.
then yeah, for real. So like I got the list and they started calling it and I didn't get any leads. And I was like, literally all the stuff that I did in that first month in September, it took me about 3 weeks to realize that this ain't it, right?
Yeah.
This ain't it. Like calling this big list and so I'm not going to get a deal. Went back out, started door knocking, got my second one within a week. Like, okay, I need to be doing more of this. Let's just focus on foreclosures. October, I got 2 deals. And then November, we got 17. December, I had 15. So it took me about 90 days to get to that breakthrough of like, cool, I figured this part out with how to work with foreclosures. And this is all I'm going to focus on. So again, a lot of us, like there's if you guys follow Alex Hormozy.
Yes.
Yeah. I love his stuff, man. He posted something on his
awesome.
Instagram the other day and I was like, yes. He posted, most people won't be rich because they can't wait 12 months. Right.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And like you expand that time even further to like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you start thinking in longer time horizons. Like, guys, we just have to give ourselves the time. Like sometimes we're not even fair to ourselves with like, I need to make $100,000 in 60 days. You've never even had $100,000 in your life. You know, it's
Right.
like, let's be real here. Give yourself the runway.
Right.
And that's it, man.
Well, they look at everybody else crushing deals like on Instagram and YouTube and stuff, and they're like,
Half of it ain't real.
half of it ain't real. And they're like, I gotta be
You
like
know,
that. And they're like,
I
what
see
the
you
heck?
get all these contracts. Which ones are closing though?
Exactly.
That's a fact.
How much money you making on it? You know?
Bro, with that being said, so after you did all your door knocking stuff and started getting into the virtual assisting world, what did that look like? Like, did you just start with one? Did you scale really quick? What was the process in the beginning with the virtual assistants?
Yeah. So lead gen is so important, right? Lead gen is the lifeblood of your business. That's how you get off the ground, right? That's how do you go from 1 deals to 3 deals? How do you go from 0 to 1? Like that's the biggest jump, right? But then as you continue to grow, you have to just have more leads. There has to be more opportunities coming in. You think about it as a funnel, right? You have to have more opportunities coming in at the top end. So then like, even if you are awful at conversions, you give yourself a chance to win. Even if you're no good at talking to sellers, you give yourself a chance. If you generate enough leads, there's no way you don't at least get a deal, even not even being that great or utilizing, folks in the community like you guys. Right. So when I got to that November month, 17 deals, like 11 of those came from door knocking. The other 6 came from my VAs. And I started hiring VAs. Like I hired my first one in September and I was going through the normal thing with a lot of folks who get virtual assistants are like, hey, I have a tremendous amount of turnover. I have a lot of people, they come and go. Oh, they got health issues or whatever. Always when someone's like, yeah, sorry, my doctor says I can't work. It's like, you don't want to work. It's okay. It's all good. Like, just tell me you want to quit. You don't have to be all like nice about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I get it. It's a grind. It's cold calling and it's midnight in the Philippines. So I went through that and I had this one girl, her name was Gia. And Gia was like, hey Matt, so, my doctor says I got this hypertension. I'm like, okay, Gia, got it. Well, I hope you get better. Take care of yourself. But before you go, do you have any referrals? Right. She was a great person. She was really good at what she did. So I was like, great people know great people.
Mhm.
And I was just trying to not have to go post on Upwork or wherever to go hire someone. And she goes, well, I have two people in mind. I got this guy named Michael, and Michael's really good. He's been in the real estate industry for a while. He has great communication skills. And I have another guy, his name's Daryl. And Daryl is, he doesn't have as much experience, but he's very ambitious. And I'm like, well, which one do you recommend? She goes, I don't know. Really up to you. You can do your interview. But I'm like, I'd rather have the ambitious one than even someone who has like real estate skills. Like, what does that even mean? Right.
Right.
A lot of people have bad habits from previous. They work for real estate brokerages, and we don't do that over here. Right.
Mhm.
So I went with Daryl, and he was working a job where he was like chat support. So I was like, Daryl, I can't afford to pay you because like literally I have like 2.5 deals closed. Right. Not even the third one's like on the way. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm like, I can't afford to pay you like full time what you wanting to get. So what if you just keep that job, and in the off hours you just like check in with me and maybe make calls in the afternoon? And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And I was paying him like $2.50 an hour. And from that, I was like, I continued doing what I was doing, but Daryl was a rock star. He increased his acumen in the real estate industry, and he was learning and he was getting better. And eventually, like after that whole month of October, when we got our big month in November with all the deals, I'm like, Daryl, like, are you ready to come full time with me now? Because I'd love to have you. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I was able to help him leave that other job, and he worked solely for me. And then at the same time, I'm like, cool, I want to put VAs under you because I know you have that experience of managing virtual assistants. And he's like, yeah, perfect. So what I did was I bought these big desks, like these big oak desks, and I put it in his living room. So he like went and picked it up and we put it together. He had it in his living room, and his brother like does computers and stuff. So we bought computers for his living room. And basically we're running like a really small call center in the beginning. Went from like 2 to 3 to 4 people within a 30-day period.
This is in the Philippines?
This is in the Philippines. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, bro, so you bought the desk and stuff to set up in this guy's house in the Philippines.
Oh yeah. And he went and picked it up, and like every day the bus they came from his network. They're like, yeah, my friends would love a job. So they would go get the bus, they'd be dropped off at Daryl's house. They would work in the middle of the night in Daryl's like living room with like all the headsets on and stuff. And Daryl was able to like listen in and give them coaching and feedback and be like, hey, say this right here. Say this instead. Say this, whatever. And it started working like really well. Cause like, honestly, that was probably the biggest thing that went from like me doing all the work to get 17 deals to like, okay, now I have other people helping me, and we got 15. And then that January we got 14. And I was like, okay, there's definitely something here. And at the time, again, all these deals, I was challenge with their they were having a really big challenge with their cold calling. And I'm like, well, you know what? Like, I have a guy, his name's Daryl. He's a rock star. Maybe he can come in and do some consulting with you guys and maybe help fix your cold calling system, because we're doing pretty well with like everything that we're doing with cold calling. Like we're actually getting deals done. And they were getting most of their deals at that time from SMS, not really from cold calling. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, I will have Daryl meet with you guys and see if it could be anything. Right. And from there, Daryl got with Cody and kind of broke down their system a little bit. And within a short period of time, basically turned their cold calling on its head. Like Daryl was kind of help managing them. And I think it goes back to like giving value any way that you can. So this was like some way that I could do that. And I felt like I was really able to help. So Daryl went in, kind of fixed their system a little bit and started working with their VAs hands-on, kind of like what we teach now. And within a short period of time, they had their 10 VAs that were cold calling actually getting more deals. And it was like, Cody's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then Cody's like, we should start a business around this. And I'm like, I want to get more deals. I don't know if I want to start a call center, dude. Like what? Like, he's like, yeah, we should do it. This is how it works. I'm like, I don't know. Like this, I feel like this might distract us from what we want to do. And he's like, no, look, we'll have Daryl be our Philippine partner. We'll do this, and this. I'm like, all right, maybe. And then at that time, then COVID hit. And then he's like, we got to get this business going. So that was the birth of VA Hub, which is now Start Virtual. Daryl, it's crazy to like, and I just remember early on, like you want to see what motivates your people. And again, like I never knew that working with VAs and like building a team would be my favorite aspect of this entire business. But like that has been what it's become. Like working with the VAs and being able to provide jobs has been the coolest thing in the world, from like infancy stage of just having people go to Daryl's living room to like we now have 700 virtual assistants in the Philippines is like insane. It's insane within a 2.5 year period to see like other people getting success from it. It has been really awesome. So like I of course was scaling my team at the time, and of course my team took a hit when I was like, Daryl, we had talked about your goals and your dreams when you first started, and I was paying you $2.50 an hour. You said you wanted to come to America. You said you want to buy real estate, and this is an opportunity vehicle over here with my real estate business. But Start Virtual is a bigger boat. This is a much bigger opportunity. Will my business take a hit with you leaving? Yes, because I'm going to have to find someone else. Like I'm going to have to try to, how do I find a unicorn? I don't know. But like my business is going to take a hit, but I believe this is a bigger opportunity for you. And he transitioned over. And I mean, who would have known the guy that I was paying $2.50 an hour would be able to be the COO of a company that has 700 virtual assistants? Wow. It's insane to see the growth in him and everyone, right? Because we're learning this whole thing as we go. And it's been really cool to see that growth, because now he owns 14 properties in the Philippines. And, you know, like dude is like the richest man in the Philippines. I joke with him all the time. Yeah. But yeah, he's like,
you changed that man's life, man. That's crazy. Awesome. And that's something that I actually learned from like for people who don't know, Matt did the 0 to Hero training with Pace and Cody, just showing how to get a deal in less than 30 days, right? That was a week. You guys a bunch of deals, right? And one of the things that I've learned, that I learned from you, just watching you train directly, was you truly care about them, right? Like you truly care about your assistants, your VAs. You truly care about what their goals are. You truly care about what they're trying to accomplish. Would you say that's like more important than structure training and like team training?
Absolutely, man. You know, I think like how blessed we are to be born in America, to be born here with all these opportunities, to where like at any point in time, if you just want to do the freaking work, you can go become a millionaire, right? That's America. Yeah. You could, like anyone could do this if you just want to do the work. But there's countries in this world, there's places where that's just not the case. That you are like, the opportunities are not that like bountiful. Like you can't just go out and say, you know what, I want to be a millionaire in the Philippines. And it's just not those opportunities aren't presented to the folks that are born. They're just kind of like, we were born here. This is our life. This is our cards. And the challenge with that is like a lot of people think accordingly, right? They don't think it's possible for them to make a bunch of money. They don't think it's possible for them to be able to live their life. And I see it as like everyone gets one like life on this planet. And how can I impact the most people? I want my people to start thinking bigger. I want them to dream bigger. I want them to want more things for themselves. I want them to see that as possible. Like, even if it's not working for me forever, like they can make a good money here and then go do their own thing. And maybe, you know, actually open, like Don, he wants to open a mechanic shop, maybe even open that mechanic shop, or Ira, who ended up leaving because he opened up his restaurant. Like, dude, like think bigger, do more things. And I think like we are responsible as leaders and visionaries for our companies to create more for the people that work with us and to impact them. I don't take it lightly, even with our American employees and our Philippine employees. Like anytime that you get a chance to work with anyone like during their lifetime is just such an honor, because they could be doing anything else with their time, right? There are years of 30 to 35, or they're 22 to 27 that they dedicated their life to work with you in your vision in your company. That's like the biggest honor in the world. So it's my job to make sure that I'm providing and I'm doing the best that I can to make sure they're getting what they want to get out of it, and they're going where they want to go, and they're achieving the things that they've said they wanted to achieve.
I love it. So this guy Daryl, right? When he was transitioning from doing what he was doing before to now being a COO, I'm assuming he had to go through some mindset shifts.
Oh, plenty, man. Like Daryl was always the guy who like read the books, though. You know, he was always, you know, he read The Secret and all the things, but he's I think it's always finding the right people. Could anyone do what Daryl did? No, absolutely not. But he was waiting for the right opportunity to really showcase his skills. And Daryl, again, it goes back to we got to think bigger. He was willing to take a job to get paid $2.50 an hour, but he had a millionaire inside of him, like a million on our standards, not a million pesos, like a millionaire. But he was willing to do whatever it took to get there. And I think, again, it's our job as visionaries to cast that vision, and such people get excited about it and see, like, you know what, I'm gonna dedicate myself to this. And yeah, he shifted his mindset and he did all the things. He went through plenty of courses, like I forget the name, Six Sigma, right? He's a black belt in the Six Sigma training, and so he's invested in himself tremendously too. But he's also was just naturally a great leader of people. Yeah. That's probably what gives him the most fulfillment, because like he travels to all the cities now in the Philippines and he gets everyone together. It's like, oh, here's our Sooooo work staff, or here's our Baguio work staff, or here's our Quezon City or Manila. Like he's traveling around all the time and they're doing like events and parties and stuff. I'm like, Daryl, do you actually work, dude? Or like, what's up? I'm just playing.
Have you ever been to the Philippines?
We have never been. So like I started in 2019 with all my VAs. And leading up to that, I didn't have enough money to go travel to the Philippines. And then 2020 was COVID. Mm-hmm. So we haven't been able to travel there since then because of COVID. So we hope to. Our assistant has booked flights for Cody and I the first week of December this year to go to the Philippines. So we're excited.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. But
this is gonna be cool.
Yeah, bro. Like no, I really did want to just say I'm grateful for you for just having just switching that mindset, right? Shifting my mindset in particular, because like when I first got VAs, it was not that at all, right? It's like you need to do this, you need to do this. I wasn't out, and it's just kind of sad to say this, but I wasn't really looking at them like they were my equal, right?
Hey, I was the same.
Yeah, and now like I love my VAs. Like I had one of my VAs, he came up to me the other day, and he's like, "Yo, Daryl, like I love you, bro." And he just like started pouring out to me, and he's like, yo, you gave me an opportunity when nobody did. Like you're really changing my life, right? And I'm like, dang, like that's awesome. He's like, I even got an offer from somebody who used to work in my company. They left and they tried to recruit all my VAs. And he's like, yeah, like somebody came, they offered me more money, and I told him no, like it's not about the money, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dang, like and that's all because like so I start my meeting. Yeah, like I start my meetings off with the attitude and gratitude, right? Something I learned from you, right? And like I just focus on their goals, what they want to accomplish. So it's awesome. Like I just want to say thank you for that, bro.
Yeah, bro. I mean, we're all the same. Like I say these things because like I was the same way. Like we see things as like this is a task, this is a job, get these things done. Yeah. But like it's our job as the business owners and the company visionaries to show them that ain't nobody gonna give you an opportunity like I will. Ain't nobody gonna believe in you like I will, right? I'm here for you. And like, it doesn't that just feel good when they come to you and they're like, Daryl, bro, you changed my life. Like, awesome. That's all I need. Like, I want to make some money in my business, but that's all I need. That feels so good, you know?
Heck yeah, likewise, bro. It was,
and you
know, I the same thing as Daryl. I was like one-track minded, thinking that it was just a task-oriented thing to have virtual assistants, cold call and text and everything like that. And it was honestly, I can remember, dude, it was probably like a year ago today where you were hosting one of these Saturday morning calls, right? In Sub 2. And I get on a call with you and I'm like, dude, I don't know what the heck is happening, but I just don't think I'm doing this VA thing right. He's like, bro, do you ever have conversations with your VAs? Like, do you know what they want? Do you know like their desires and everything? I'm like, no, I just want them to make calls, dog. Bro, these are
get on the phones. What are y'all doing?
He's like, bro, these are literally like your children. You gotta feed them, right? Like,
yeah, they're employees, dude. It's like leadership is a topic that it seems like it's just like a foo-foo kind of thing, just like culture. But leadership is so important, and there's practices in that if you do it right. Like it's our job again as visionaries and as the business owners and the entrepreneurs to understand our people, what motivates them. Just like the 5 love languages, people have love languages in business. People have ways that they like to be rewarded. People have ways that they like to be communicated with. People have things that specifically to them know that motivate them. Like I have people even in Start Virtual, Americans, that it's my job to understand how they operate. It's my job to figure out like, hey, like if I want to get the most out of the folks that I work with, it's my job to make sure that I understand them so I can put them in a position to win. Right. Just this week, I had a guy who was on our team and he was like super frustrated, and he didn't say anything. He didn't do anything. I just realized that he just came into work one day. He went straight, put his headset on, and started calling. And I'm like, all right, this is something's off here, right? And I didn't ask. I didn't go prod or anything, but I was just waiting. And then at the end of the shift, I went up. He sits right by our water dispenser. I went and filled up my water jug, and I was like, hey, do you have a second? And I was just like, he's like, yeah, what's up? I'm like, hey, so like, what's up, man? Like, how was it today? Oh, it's good. I'm like, all right, well, like, what does good mean? Like, tell me more. He's like, I don't know. I'm just making my calls and stuff. I'm like, cool. So like, how do you feel about everything? Like, feel pretty good. Was it a pretty rough day? And like asking questions, digging a little bit deeper, just like you would with a seller. He starts opening up and talking about all the stuff that's happening in his personal life and these frustrations that he had. And he's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm in this position where I'm kind of stuck right now in my life. And like all this, like, great, dude, let's talk about this. He's like, well, I don't even know where to begin. I'm like, well, let's spend some time. So I started getting into like understanding him and trying to give him good things to think about of like, hey, we need to do these thought exercises. I want to it's my job. It's like, could I have just left? Could I just like called it a day, got my keys, left, went home? Yeah, I could have, but it's my job to see like, all right, if there's something going on with my people, like I want to understand so I can help them with whatever I could potentially help them with. If I can't, maybe I can find someone who can. But like after digging deep, and we spent more time on Friday because I gave him some homework to go do and then come back on Friday. We were going to talk a little bit more about it. And like he left yesterday just like freaking excited, stoked, just like, dude, I'm just like, I just feel like a different person. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. Right. And you get to a certain level in your business, and that is what it's all about. I listened to a podcast, as when I was an agent. It was called How I Built This by Guy Raz. I love that podcast. It's awesome because you hear like big CEOs and business owners that are like, hey, this is how we start. It's our origin story, basically. Right. And they had Howard Schultz on from Starbucks. And I remember being at the gym listening to it. And there was a time where Starbucks was about to go bankrupt, right? They were about to lose the entire business. And he said we had about 3.5-4 weeks of cash reserves before we literally was going to have to shut down 90% of our locations here in the United States. I remember this time too, because my stepdad was like, we're going to invest in Starbucks. I'm like, no, you're not. Why are you investing in Starbucks? But it was like literally going downhill. And he was kind of telling that story. And he's like, well, I had some decisions to make. Obviously, it's like, do we charge more for the coffee? Well, we can. It's already expensive ass coffee. What else can we do to solve this problem? Because we're not getting enough people, and like with our locations and overhead and staff, like we're going out of business faster. Like, we don't know what we should do. Should we turn this into like, we'll just sell coffee beans in the grocery store? Who knows? And instead, so he's like, I don't know what we should do to fix this sales problem. He had 3.5 weeks to fix this problem, or else the whole company was going to go under. He decided to call an emergency meeting with every single person in the company to get together for a week. He had 3.5 weeks for a week to go over leadership and figuring out ways how they could increase the experience at Starbucks. Spent a whole week with his entire team, everyone in the company. Those who couldn't make it, they video chatted in. Spent a whole week, shut all of the locations down. I mean, that's pretty bold, knowing that you're about to run out of money. Spent a whole week working with the team and figuring out ways to put better leadership structure in place, better agreements with the employees. And then when people like, okay, well, let's look at the store. Like, how do we increase the experience when people walk in? Is the music? Is it the vibes? Like, when you walk into Starbucks, it's a vibe, right? Like, I just like going in there. I could work from home, but I just like going to Starbucks sometimes because I like sitting in there. It's cool, right? And they took the espresso machines and they dropped them down a notch. Like, you can see the baristas working and like all these little tweaks and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. But what I took from that was like, it's a people thing, right? It's not a numbers. It's not something that a spreadsheet was going to show you. A spreadsheet's not going to show you that you need to drop the espresso machine by 3 inches, right? It's what is my most valuable asset? It's my people, right? It's not the tools or the data. It's always the people that will help your business win. So it's like, how can I spend more time? How can I develop the people that I have? Because they are going to be the ones that help you make your dreams come true. So, I just remembered listening to that and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. And then I got to that point in the VA business and I got to that point in my own real estate business. And I realized that I was treating my VAs the same. They were just like another number. It's like, hey, are we generating leads or we're not? Why are we not generating leads? You're not getting leads? Fired. Right? But there was so much more to it. So much more to it. So, taking that approach and figuring out like people just don't fit in this box. If I invest in my people and I develop them and I do the daily huddles and I do the call calibrations and I make sure I do my part by putting them in the position to win, they have the data that they need, they have the tools that they need, everything set up properly, I know they're going to be in the best position to win. And if they are the right people, which we just hire based on personality and attitude, so we know from the beginning, like we feel pretty good about them, even though we're kind of guessing, right? We hope that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. I'll invest in those people who make shit happen, who act with a sense of urgency, right? Who want to do things, who want to change their life. I'll invest in that person because I know eventually it will click, and investing in the people has been the biggest thing. So if you guys are like, again, there's so many levels to this business that you think it's just like buying houses. You think it's just like flipping contracts. There's so many levels to this that you have to become a different person at each level. If that's the kind of business you want to build. If you're trying to build a legacy here, it involves people. So it also involves you investing in yourself and becoming a different person, a better leader.
That's interesting that your virtual assistant did that, Daryl. Like his life completely changed because he was investing in himself.
Because he wanted to.
Yeah.
You can only want something so much for somebody, but he had to want to do that. Right? That's why I chose the ambitious one.
How do you avoid investing your time and energy into the wrong people?
Well, it comes into the onboarding, right? So early on, it is very much I'm responsible for day one of the onboarding, right? That's where we set the expectations. There's something that my coach recently told me. And I said, oh, I love that. It's so good. He said he got it from the ministry industry. And he's like, when people come in for interviews, before I even hire them, I just want to make sure that they're a better person after they leave. That's it. If they come in, they're looking for a job, even if they're not the right fit, I just want to make sure they're a better person, right? They got something out of the interview, not me getting something out of the interview. So whenever I spend time with people, I want to make sure that I'm delivering at my highest. So in the beginning, it's very much you're handling day one with your new employees. The biggest challenge that I see most people make, because I have done it many times, is just putting people in a position, not properly delegating it, and just kind of like hoping for the best. Like, oh yeah, just hop on the phones, do your thing. You're going to, crush it. Do it. You got it. We'll listen to some call recordings. And that's the onboarding, right? Yeah. Now it's very much we have it all in Trainual, but I still spend time with new employees. So if I hire, I like doing it in batches. So that way I'm spending more time with rather than just like one person. It's more like a group, 3, 4. But it's all around core values and culture in the beginning. And then it's mindset. And then it's goal setting. And then it's the compensation plan. So I do that day one. That's the most important thing. So I'm giving them who we are, what we do, what we believe in, setting agreements with your employees. Hey, over the next 30 days, I'm going to do the best I can to make sure you're in a position to win. You have the tools, you have the data, you have everything that you have to win, right? Likewise, your agreement to me is you're going to do the best you can with the system that we have set up. In the event something breaks or you're sitting on a veil and you're not talking to anyone and you can't get the connects, you reach out for help, you reach out for support, right? That's the agreement. And over the next 30 days, we'll see how it is working with each other. If it doesn't work out, no hard feelings, but that's our 30-day agreement. So everybody's on this trial period, right? Yep. And I've been able to train my leaders in the organization now to be able to have those conversations for me. But again, it's important for me to be there and give them the vision, even the virtual assistants, give them the vision of here's where we are. And this is why I think you should be super stoked to be a part of this,
So you don't even care about how they have conversations in the beginning.
No.
As a person.
Yeah. I just need to say, are you going to do the work? And of course, in the interview, we check to see how their comm skills are and, the knowledge on how to deliver it. And that doesn't matter to me as much as like you have the communication skills. You're excited to be here. You're not just looks like someone had to drag you to the interview. You're excited, right? Like that's big. And then from there, I can give them the skills that they need, but I can't change the people that they are, you know?
Yeah.
I love that. We got a question here. Nick Villegas asks, Matt, how do you identify your people's unique gifts on your team? Any exercise or questions you ask?
Yeah, so I have everyone take a human acumen personality test. So I like to see what kind of they gravitate more to, right? So early on in the interview process, I'll have them kind of fill this thing out, and I'll say, like, okay, is this person more of a introvert and they don't like working in teams? But I think, you know, of course they're excited, but they naturally gravitate more towards this. I'm trying to hire for a cold caller, so I need someone who loves to be on the phone and talking to people. So maybe this isn't the right position for them. Maybe I'll have something for them in the future. Like I have VAs that are on my social media team that they don't have to talk to anybody. They just got to edit videos, right? That's it. So I think early on we're hiring for we're just trying to find good people. That's it. Right. If I feel good about the person and the core values aligned, this doesn't matter if it's Filipino virtual assistants, anyone in the world, or, you know, Americans that are stateside. I just want to make sure it's a good core value fit. And, you know, there is a saying that I think is important that everyone should think about when you're hiring folks within your company. You want to find people that are smart, that are also broke, and have a deep desire to become rich. That's it.
I like that.
Right. So when I'm identifying their unique gifts, I'm just kind of see what they naturally try to gravitate more to. And just by asking questions, I'm able to kind of see like, oh, well, this is a, you know, if it's cold calling, this is a grind. I try to like turn them off on it. And if they're still like, dude, put me on the phones, I'm ready. Come on. You know, like, cool. We'll do it.
So I know your time is worth so much, and I don't want to keep you too long. But it's funny that we're having this conversation right now because me and Daryl had an episode last week where we kind of put each other in a hot seat. And Daryl is in a position where he's about to go build out his cold calling and texting department again, his director seller virtual assistant department.
Let's go.
So could you just give Daryl advice and kind of maybe advice to somebody that's going to start that? Like, first off, where do they find these virtual assistants? And then what does it look like starting up? Just to get a couple deals in the pipeline in the first few months.
Yeah, so I think there's many places you can find these people. I would say as you bring people onto your team, do it slowly, right? I would not recommend going and hiring 5 people at once. I would not recommend, because I did that. Like whenever Cody and Pace and myself partnered in our business, we made a big mistake because I had 20 virtual assistants of my own at the time and they had like 20. So we brought 40 people together at once and that was horrible. It was horrible because like it was just so much stuff that we couldn't even manage, and then it was not the thing. All of a sudden we're like, we have 40 VAs, but we don't have like double the deals. So
40 VAs sounds cool.
Yeah, it does sound cool until you have to start laying people off because it's like it just doesn't work. So I recommend no matter where you go, you hire your own personality. Of course, you can go straight to Upwork. You can go to onlinejobs.ph. You can put out job ads. You can do the recruiting and do all that. And you're probably going to save money if you did it that way. But of course, you have the legwork. You do the interviews and stuff, but you hire them directly. Or you can go to an agency. That's what we have at Start Virtual. We do the training, managing, and all that stuff. And it's a 4-week program. But again, it's like depending on what you want to spend your time on. Like some people would be like, I want to work with the people. I don't care. I want to do the grinding. And it's okay if it takes me 30 to 60 days to get them up to speed. Then maybe hiring them directly. So you can go either way there. But still, regardless, whatever way you go, even with an agency, I recommend starting with no more than 2. And then you're like, all right, cool. I have my 2. I had the systems dialed in for 2 people. I know how the campaigns need to be set up. I know how the data that gets flowed over to them, how they're in a position to win. Cool. And then you hire one at a time, because every time I hire one person, it's like, you know, it's like almost like I equate it to like a lab experiment, right? You drop it in. I'm testing the subject. I want to see how they do, how they work with the other team members. So it's not too many people at once, right? So we don't have these clicks and drama because, hey, we're still working with people, right? I like to drop one person in and say, like, all right, how do you work with everyone else? Are you contributing to the team? Do I have someone within the team that's working with you and saying, hey, let's listen to some of my calls, right? Is that person a good culture fit? Perfect. After 30 days, that person's good. Cool. We went from 3. Let's go hire another one. Let's go 4. Let's go hire another one. Let's go 5. Let's go 6, right? And just take it slow like that. And maybe you end up hiring somebody every 2 weeks. Who knows? But I recommend just doing one at a time, so they're just getting plugged in to what you have going on. It's not too overwhelming to bring in too many people at once.
That was definitely my issue starting off. It's like one day we had one VA, we're cold calling. Next thing you know, I blink and we have 7. And I'm like, what's going on? And we have the results did not change. Like we're getting the same amount of pretty much everything because we just went too fast. So that's great advice.
Mhm.
What are your goals? What are your goals for what is one of the biggest goals that you have? Like that's upcoming, whether it's long term or short term.
Yeah, I think more than anything, one of my biggest goals is just saying no to more stuff. You know, like there's a lot of things, and as you guys grow, and I know you guys are experiencing the same thing right now, you get a lot of opportunities thrown your way, right? There's a lot of things on the table, like, oh, we could do this, and we can start this other company, and we can have this and that and that. And all these opportunities are on the table. And don't get me wrong, it's a great position to be in. And if you guys are right now and you're in the infancy stage and you haven't done a deal yet and you're looking at us and you're like, how do I get there? Just again, do the thing. But eventually, if you do the thing enough, people are going to get attracted to that. And they're going to be like, hey, there's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity. It's our job to decipher which ones are for us, right? I have no interest in having 12 companies. I have no interest in having 20 companies. I want to build a big one company, right? That's what I care about. So right now I have my real estate business and Start Virtual. That's all I want to get Start Virtual to 100 million valuation in the next 3 years. That's all I care about. Right. And then if it's a real estate business, I have folks here that work in the office. My brother actually works for me. I have a guy named Roger and I have Adriana. I want those guys to be rich. So I don't even care much about how much money I make on that business. I want them to make a bunch of money. And then we find opportunities for seller finance. Cool. I need to write off taxes. I want to buy those properties, but I care more about building Start Virtual to be the company that I know it could be. So that's my big stuff.
The Start Virtual, is it only are your VAs only good for not good for, but do they only work with real estate? Or can you have a VA for freaking software company or something?
Yeah. So we have a lot of things. We have insurance industry, we have general business admin, we work with lawyers, chiropractors, dentists. Yeah, and we're obviously, so we come from real estate investing, right? So we can serve the real estate investors to a very high degree. In fact, we have a program that's launching August 15th. That it's a done for you business. We build everything out for you. We have the cold callers, we have the texters. Here's my blueprint. You have one-on-one coaching with our coaches here at Start Virtual. You have weekly sales calls. It's a crazy program. But it launches August 15th, and it's for those people who've done 1 or 2 deals and they're ready to grow. It's going to be really cool for that. But we're also moving to our model where we're just going to be training, sourcing, managing virtual assistants for just about anyone, right? So we can go in and we can work with not just real estate professionals, but anybody, and kind of give them the skilled help that they need to grow their business, and handle that front end process. So that way they don't have to do any recruiting. Because as we grow, we realize that recruiting is a big deal for a lot of small businesses, especially antiquated models and stuff. So we know how to do lead gen for sure, but also we know how to find great talent. So it's called Start Virtual Certified. It'll launch the second week of September. And basically we go out, we find the talent, we source them, we place them in our business owner's business. We don't get paid anything. Our business owners hire the VAs directly, and that way they can reduce their cost there too. So that's going to be really cool when we launch that one. So just more stuff like that, right? It always comes down to listening to the customers and kind of trying to be innovative in that company outside of just trying to be like everybody else, right? Everybody's we have virtual assistants. You pay us this much. This is what it is. You can go find 100 companies like that, so try to be a little different.
So somebody listening right now was man, I work a job and I don't know if I'd have the time to pour into the virtual assistants like Matt was talking about. And I'd rather have somebody kind of already ready to go. Where would they go for that?
Start Virtual, man. Start Virtual.
So what happens there? They just go to startvirtual.com and they get...
Yeah, if you go to startvirtual.com, we do what's called a discovery call. So on that call, it's we don't know if you're right now it's the best fit to get a virtual assistant. but we try to discover as much as we can, right? So we'll learn more about your business, what you currently have in place. And if it makes sense, we'll get you started.
And guys, if you guys are watching, I don't know if Matt can like technically say this, or he may have to like just to look good, right? He can't tell you that these other companies are bullshit, right? like there's other companies that you go to get VAs from that will straight scam you, right? But Start Virtual is the best of the best. I'm telling you, do not waste your time going with Sam or Pookie in the Philippines who has a company just because they say they have VAs for cheaper, right? Sometimes most times it's not about the price, it's about the quality, right? It's about what you get with your money, right? With the money that you spend, what type of value are they providing for you? And Start Virtual is honestly the best of the best. Save yourself some freaking headaches dealing with. I've dealt with the most. Like I've had one. She told me that the VA that I've had for like the past 3 months, like going strong every single day, there's nothing wrong. She comes back and tells like just randomly, she's like, "Oh yeah, Mary quit." She's like, she just quit her company, just left. And I'm like, "What's going on? What do you mean she just quit? Like she was just with me yesterday. Like, what are you talking about?" And I go and talk to the person who referred him to me, and he's like, "Oh, bro, they did the same thing to me. Like at the 3-month mark, they did the same exact thing." I'm like, "Why did you tell me? What the hell?" But like but no, they weren't quitting. What they were doing was the owner of the company was just taking the person that you trained up and then giving them to somebody else, giving them to another one of their clients.
That would have been so frustrating.
So frustrating. I trained it so much, and like it was just crazy. So guys, please make sure you guys go to startvirtual.com if you're looking for virtual assistants, if you need top of the line virtual assistants. And I believe you have like a CSM as well, right? Like that comes.
Yeah. So like we're working on all kind of stuff, y'all. Like we're in this transitionary phase right now as a company that we've done it a certain way for the first 2 years. And we're looking at like the solution that we provide. And we're like, we need to do more. So we have a lot of things that's going on the back of that. Cause we have a lot of folks who are like, I don't know how to use a dialer. I don't know how to use the system. I don't know how to set this stuff up. We have Start Virtual Academy that's launching with the Start Virtual Certified, that everyone in our who uses our service gets access to the academy, which has all the mini courses based around like setting up your business, utilizing the blueprint the way we do it. Like what the heck is a CSM? Like why are phone numbers so important on that? Like all the things that you really need to be successful in real estate investing, because it's like there's a lot of moving pieces and it can be pretty overwhelming in the beginning. So we're trying to figure out ways, number one, how we can pass savings on to our customers. And I don't say that just to be here, because obviously I'm biased. I love our company. I think it's the best in the world. But at the same time, like I've done since like February, I started doing one-on-ones every like Tuesdays and Thursdays. I do like 3 every single Tuesday, 3 every single Thursday. And after like 86 of them, I was like, all right, cool. There's certain problems here that we haven't solved as a company, and they all kind of fit in these certain buckets. And if you guys don't do this, like if you have a company, highly recommend doing stuff like this with either your employees or the people that you serve. And maybe it's surveying your market, or as you're talking to, here's an idea, as you're talking to foreclosures. I mean, I say this because we do it. I like to figure out like, what's some commonalities, like what mattered to this person, right? And what you'll find is in foreclosures, there's typically like 2 or 3 things that matter most. Like, great, then maybe I should market for that. Maybe I should spend more time talking about that stuff. So as a company, after doing all these one-on-ones, we figured out like, hey, there's a lot of people that are just getting started and they don't want to hire a virtual assistant because they're like, I've never had an employee, or that's really expensive. I don't have the money to spend. Cool. Use our dialer pool. Our dialer pool is literally, you bring us a list, we'll call your list. You don't have to have a dedicated VA. You don't have to set up your dialer. You don't have to set anything. We'll just call your list, right? And then the next evolution of that was like, okay, a lot of people want to get started and they want to hire their VAs directly, and they just want someone who's already trained and certified out the gates. Cool. We will recruit them. We train them. They go through 6 weeks of training with us in the classroom and also live on the phones. And then from there, we place them in your business and you hire them directly. So instead of paying $9, $10 an hour, you pay significantly less than that. And we have a 60-day replacement guarantee. So God forbid they ever quit or leave, we'll replace them, right? So like, that's just, we're trying to create better solutions for this specific industry, because I think there's so many different people are in different places. And of course there's going to be folks that are like, you know what? I don't want to manage this. I don't want to think about it. Cool. We got your back over here as well. So, again, obviously I'm a little biased to start virtual, but the cool thing that we do is like we're investors first, right? I'm still in the business very much. Literally just got a 0% seller finance deal signed last night.
Hey,
Got a
let's go.
Yeah, got a foreclosure on Sunday. I got three more seller finance deals out for contract right this minute. So like we do the business. Like I understand this. And I understand like a lot of our services at Start Virtual came from us solving our own problems, right?
Yeah.
It's like what problems did we have as we grew our business? Cool.
Mhm.
We know the hurdles that someone's going to have to jump along the way, right?
Yeah.
So why not solve that problem? So that's what we do, man. And like I said, everybody is got their own sauce and has got their own way of they want to do things. But for me, it's very much like, why reinvent the wheel when there's ways to solve these problems. So someone has already has already confronted these things and have solved these things before you. So why not utilize their solution?
Just come in and make it better.
Yep. That's it.
Sounds like you're literally just grabbing investors by the ear and just pulling them to their first deal. Like, here, do this.
Just do this thing, please. Just do it.
Right.
Please.
That's what Matt did with me, bro. Like honestly, I went to Pace's mastermind like I think it was probably half a year ago now, and Matt did my hot seat. Like you get in the hot seat and pull back the curtains and look at your business and see what's going on. And Matt was the one who gave me advice. Literally, I went home and started doing multiple deals a month. Before I was doing maybe a deal every 6 weeks. But because I promise you, brother, and I really want to like give you your flowers for that. The advice that you gave me on that whiteboard is probably 15 to 20 minutes or something worth of advice. Led me to doing multiple deals when I got home.
Let's go, bro. See, like that, that just feels so good. It's not even fair. Like that's the life we should lead. We should want to do stuff like that. Because like, does it affect me for Mike to have a life of abundance? Absolutely not. Does it affect me for Daryl to have a life of abundance? Absolutely not. Why can't we all have everything that we've ever wanted? Right. And if you know something, like it's our job to like go out, learn things, mess up, and then help the next person.
Yep.
Right. And it like that feeling is unfair. And I hope everybody gets to feel that one day.
I love it.
That's
bro.
A clip right there. That's a fact right there. Yo, Matt, if anybody wants to reach out to you, they just really resonated with you today and they really want to just provide value to you. How does anybody reach out and provide value to you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. If you guys check out Matthew Beard _, that's me. We talk a lot about virtual assistant stuff there. Obviously, I have a YouTube channel too. So if you guys check that out, I'll have to have you guys come on the YouTube channel and we'll do something similar. Bro. We'll just kind of break down businesses, or maybe we'll do a hot seat together for you guys on the YouTube
Let's
channel.
Let's go, bro. I need that hot seat, dog.
I need that hot seat.
Definitely need that hot seat.
Yeah. So that's where you guys can find me. I'm always an open book. I'm always happy to help. And even though I may take some time to respond to the DMs, I will promise you I will get back to you.
Matt, this was awesome today, bro. It's kind of like what we spoke about is exactly where I'm at. And this helped me out so much. It's just really, really pushed me forward. And I know exactly what I need to do like moving forward. And I can only imagine how much you helped everybody else who was watching today. So thank you, brother. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time out your Saturday morning. It's pretty early, I know.
You're out here now, aren't you?
I am out here now.
Yes, you know the saying.
Yeah. Yep.
I got it easy this morning. It's like actually it's not even morning time no more.
That's the first thing I said to Mike. Right. That's the first thing I said to Mike this morning. I'm like, bro, we need to push this time back. But yo,
it's good, Matt,
I'm super grateful for you, brother. Guys, if you guys watch today, if Matt resonated with you, if you have any questions about getting VAs, don't ask him. Go to startvirtual.com, but make sure you go to his Instagram. You follow his Instagram. He drops gems on a daily basis. Make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. Is it just Matthew Beard? Your YouTube?
Yep, just Matthew Beard.
Matthew Beard. Make sure you guys subscribe to him on YouTube. Hopefully you see us on there pretty soon as well. We'll manifest that and get on there. But yo, I'm super grateful for you today. Mike, you have anything for Matt?
Likewise. One thing with the Instagram stuff, what I love that you do on your Instagram is have your VAs get on there. Like Mara, is a freaking rock star. I text my virtual assistant your posts about Mara, and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
you need to
Bro.
do this.
And you guys don't think Mara gets job opportunities because I put her out there?
yeah.
People DMing her all the time, like, let me work, come work for me, come work over here. But she don't want to because she knows that this is like she's a part of where we're achieving our dreams together. So I'm
Yeah.
never worried about putting our people out there because it's gonna help them achieve their dreams. So like Mara, she's a rock star. Yes, people try to reach out and like kind of like slide, like offer her jobs, like, why don't you come work for me? But I don't ever have to worry about that because we operate from a place of abundance, right? So I just encourage everyone to do the same. There's so much good out here in this world. There's so much good that you guys like. It is your job, your responsibility, your duty to make the most out of your life because there's other people that you're going to inspire along the way. So I appreciate you guys for having me. And this has been a ton of fun. Like there's nothing else I'd rather do on a Saturday morning other than spend time with the family than talk about real estate. So I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Yes, sir.
Brother.
Yes,
Guys, that's it for Wholesale Hard Knocks this week. Make sure you guys tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe to everybody's YouTube channel on here. Like this video for us. We'll be back next week live Saturday, 9 a.m. Arizona time, 12 noon Eastern time. All right, y'all. We out of here.